Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Every once in a while, we have to bring out the big dog.
Yeah.
Oh, God help us. It's time for Danny Unleashed. Sponsored by Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Go to eastonroofing.com for more.
What will hour number 2 bring us? What will we get in hour number 2? I can't wait. Let's first of all note that Curtis Seabolt is on the road. He's at Mr. Brew's Tap House. Great spot. We've got sports going again. Great opportunity. If you want a great place to watch at Mr. Brew's Tap House. They're at 80th and Metcalf in Old Overland Park. One of the best locations in Kansas City. One of the great neighborhood areas. And I just love all the great neighborhood areas we've got. I think, Brookside was kind of like the only one we had there for a while back when I was a kid, right? Now we've got so many great little neighborhood areas, and Old OP was always a great spot for me. And it was more stores than it was restaurants and things, but now such a great scene and district in Mr. Brew's Tap House. Absolutely. It's just a great spot for you to go down and enjoy. We can get our collector's edition Champions Guides, and Curtis has got those. Go pick those up. They don't cost nothing. Plus a great special if you want to grab a late lunch or once you get off work, head over there for dinner tonight and tomorrow. $8.10 gets you the signature burger and the side of house-cut fries. You can take advantage of this at both locations. Curtis is at 80th and Metcalf, but also in Lawrence. That's right, you Jayhawks. 3140 Iowa Street in Lawrence, Mr. Brew's Tap House. Great spot with a great special, $8.10 for the signature burger and the house-cut fries right there at the Mr. Brew's Tap House. Take advantage of it. Stop in today and get the copy of the magazine from 2 until 6. Danny Clinkscale joins us here in the program, brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Easton Roofing does both residential and commercial roofing projects. That's right, both commercial and residential. They are happy to take care of whatever you need. They have been voted 4 straight years Best of Houses winner. Angie's the Super Service Award winner. Happy to do repairs. Project manager on site at every job. Financing is available, so take advantage of that. If you think your roof is damaged and you're like, well, you know what, tough times, I don't know if we can afford it. The definition of essential is a roof over your head. And Easton Roofing is going to help you out, help you get financed to get the job done that you need to get done. One of the fastest growing companies in Kansas City. That is Easton Roofing at 913-257-5426. Online at eastonroofing.com. Joe Spiker and his team are ready to help you. So give him a call. Taylor will be happy to get the process going. Free inspection, free estimate if necessary for repairs or a new roof. Again, residential and commercial. And, of course, following all the guidelines to make sure you and your family, as well as their employees, are safe during these challenging times. Danny Clinkscale is with us. Danny, how are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm just cooking up a few conspiracy theories here for you, Soren. So, what's the name of that organization again? He kept shrieking out. I forget. Antifa. That's right.
Yeah.
I had heard of it. But I was just Googling it, and I was putting in the wrong thing. I'm doing Anfika, and
I think it's a clothing brand.
Sounds like
kind of like
shoes.
Benetton.
It's a new brand of shoes.
Listen, I had to handle it once. That's it. You fight that fight. I'm not trying to pick fights with
I just
anyone.
like when somebody feels like they're making a point by saying a word that most people, I think most people have heard of it, but don't really understand.
Yeah.
So
I'm just going to leave it alone.
That's fine. That is fine.
It spoke for itself.
I'm just looking at it.
Let me just say this.
Sure.
Let me just say this. And then I will leave it alone. We all love America, and I think the question is, do we love it enough to fix it? Okay? So, and I'll just let you think about that, what that means. And if you don't like the term fix it, do you love it enough to make it even better? Okay.
Right. I mean, for instance,
simple as that.
I'll just leave it at this, and this will probably sound a little more political, but I mean, the slogan that many supporters of the president use is "Make America Great Again," which is basically saying it's not. But if you said to the same person, "America's not so great," then they would get mad. But then you just say, "Well, why are you wearing this hat?" Which says, "Make it great again." So anyway,
that's it.
Kind of counterintuitive, I guess, is all I'm getting at there.
Okay. Danny Clinkscale.
I can quickly get to. By the way, if you want to get a little optimistic about some stuff, today's Kansas City profile at DannyClinkscale.com is not a profile of a person per se, but it's a topic, and what it is, it's
Benito Mussolini.
No, yeah, that would make you optimistic. Wow, there you go. That's a good point.
I sat down with Il Duce last week, and
no, not that. I actually sat down via the phone with one of the top analytics experts on creating plans.
Tough to get a few minutes with El Duce
for fans.
Yeah,
he gave us 20.
Yeah, until he went twisting in the middle of Rome. Anyway, should I even try this, or
I don't know, because I'm doing everything I
can
can to not start making jokes about certain elements of things that,
right?
Like kind of like what you said. I mean,
to just shriek out a name or something.
Well, just the whole politics thing, man. I'm like, Go ahead. So anyway, you're making a point, Danny.
No, I just said today's.
I'm gonna go get a Corona. You go ahead. Tell the story.
It's not even a story. Today's Kansas City profile, DannyClinkscale.com, is an interview with one of the leading experts in the nation on trying to use analytics and making up programs to get fans back in stadium and arena seats. So there you go. And he's kind of optimistic about the potential for this occurring not too far into the future. So.
So to get him in because of the virus, you mean?
Yes, and the structures of it, and he went to Stanford and Brown University, so clearly he didn't say 4 people can sit here and 2 can sit here, and never the twain shall meet. So, and here's a red X over this chair. And
I don't want to, just for Joseph, I would ask, was one of the points to check off, take an E?
I don't know if that was part of it. No.
That wasn't part of that.
I don't. No, this was purely a computer program or computerized way of devising the use of an arena or stadium so that people are at safe distance, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what it's about, and it was really a fascinating discussion when I sort of embraced it with the person who was the publicist for this person. I'm like, is this guy going to make my ears bleed with his explanation? And he didn't. He was a real down to earth guy, sports fan.
How about that?
Right.
Danny goes into an interview. He's doing. Jesus, really worried this is going to suck big time.
Well, he's also the one who booked it too.
Well, also, it's a podcast, so if he did make my ears bleed, then you never even would have been hearing about it, because I don't have to air it. It was not live.
He was surprisingly not terrible.
No, he was great, actually. That's the thing. I just didn't know if I was going to be able to understand the thing he was saying.
Oh, I see.
And like, is this gonna be for the average sports fan? Is this going to resonate? And it certainly did with me. So I hope you enjoy it. One of many, a variety of and you can judge for yourself at DannyClinkscale.com.
Don't forget to tune in next week here at DannyClinkscale.com, where I sit down with my one-on-one exclusive of Joseph Stalin.
Now those two that'd be good. I mean, people would download an interview with Joseph Stalin just to figure out how this was happening. So, time traveler Danny Clinkscale speaks with Adolf Hitler.
What are you, Percival?
Yeah, exactly.
You know the book I'm talking about?
Yes.
Percival Rides the Time Wave?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we try and limit the terrible dictator talk on this hour? Just my thoughts. I don't know.
It's Danny Unleashed. You don't know where it's going to go.
Jed, you don't unmix spaghetti.
brought to you by Idi Amin.
Idi Amin's used cars.
After the way this day has gone, it's fine. I don't care. Go for it.
Well, how about if I just turn it back sort of towards sports with this absurd headline that is one of the top ones at ESPN.com. Sources, semicolon, NFL camps to open on time, comma, pending okay from players. No spit.
Well, let's. I have realized that, every story is now like 6 stories.
Right.
There's the rumored to be happening, close to be happening, it's happened, but then it happened, and then why it happened.
Right.
Right? Like it's, it's amazing how the timeline works in the quest to be first. Danny, let's start with this. Why do you think the Chiefs canceled their Zooms? And I don't think it's anything major.
I think it just isn't. Things aren't concluded. They also were the Zooms. The Zooms were supposed to be with younger players, weren't they, or were they?
Well, it was in this order: Patrick Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire,
okay,
Willie Gay Jr., Lucas Niang, Rick Burkhalter, and then Andy Reid. So it was the top 3 draft picks: Rick Burkhalter, and then the quarterback and coach.
Well, I think because they have not really come to a full agreement yet, I think they just thought that anything really could put fuel to the fire. And Patrick Mahomes was right out there with Drew Brees and the other people in lockstep and retweeting that we need answers last weekend. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't, he's shown himself to be, as time goes on, a little bit more forthright than I think we thought he was going to be about issues like this, including Black Lives Matter and everything else. I think he has done a great job with all that. And then you've got young people who are going to, they haven't been indoctrinated, as it were, yet into saying just the right thing about, what the protocols would be. And maybe these guys are more outspoken people than, we don't know them yet. So maybe they would say, I'm concerned. Look at these college the whole Michigan State football team is now under 14-day quarantine. What is that supposed to fill me up with confidence? So that's probably why, I would think, don't you?
Yeah. Listen, I'll say that I think that one of the things that I find interesting is that we laughed at the baseball bubble, and now I wish they'd done the baseball bubble. And I wish in 4 months the NFL had entertained the idea of finding a football bubble, because it really seems to be working for the NBA and MLS right now. And the simple answer may be there isn't one. There's nothing that compares to soccer and basketball are tournament sports, right? They play tournaments. Well, baseball is too. I mean, the youth baseball and college baseball is always going and playing tournaments and those kind of things. But finding a place that can house. I definitely think
the NFL seemed logistically to be a pretty gigantic endeavor. I don't know. That would have been incredible. So.
You know what? I mean, I wonder if we'll see them. I've told you that I've talked to folks that have been around the league meetings, friends of mine from back in the day, that have said that they have a plan to build a 2-team training facility in New York as part of expanding into Europe. Now, they may never get to it, right? But there was to be one in New York, and then when they came to L.A., it was supposed to be a 2-team facility that also could handle 2 teams or more than 4 teams training in L.A., the 2 that would house there, but then also 2 more, so that, if a team from London, let's say, would come over, play the Jets, train in New York, fly into L.A., play the Rams, train in L.A., fly up to San Francisco, play the Giants, fly back down, train in L.A., fly to Kansas City, play the Chiefs, and then fly back to London and have a bye. That they were going to have these, and same thing, you could train in New York, and that was going to be their stopover points to help the travel. West Coast teams going to play in London might, play the Jets, and then train in New York, play the Patriots, and then, train in New York, and then fly to London from New York, play there, and then fly all the way home and have a bye week, right? That they were going to have these training facilities to help facilitate to where teams would have all the video meeting rooms, dormitory type setup. I wonder if that doesn't get green-lighted now, if because we hear some people say, well, COVID's not going away. And I think, they're like, the vaccine's not going to be 100%. Well, but there are also things like therapeutic that maybe it turns COVID into, hey, it's a 48-hour flu, right? And the death rate comes down to being microscopic, right? It's not just about eradicating it. It's about being able to treat it and lessen the effect. But if it is going to be around, and we are going to run the potential here moving forward, or for the next decade, of having times where we have to go, all right, listen, we got to kick back into social distancing mode. Well, then maybe building a facility like that would help the NFL so that they can say, okay, we're going into the bubble. And we've got, 6 fields or eight fields, the practice fields that have camera towers that can be turned into it, and the main games played over in the big stadium. And we can now run, what do you have? At any given time, you'd need, if you got all 16 teams playing, you got a Monday night, a Thursday night, and a Sunday night. So you'd have 13 games at any one time. You wouldn't need more than 7 fields. And so why not invest in that? Now that we've seen the bubble working for the NBA and MLS, why don't all these sports, in particular the NFL, which has more money than anybody, build that complex someplace outside of New York or wherever you think the best spot would be, and have it so that if this arises, you go, okay, we're going to plan B. The NCAA after 9/11 said, all right, the Hoosier Dome, and now the new dome, Lucas Oil or whatever it's called, will never have anything scheduled on Final Four weekend. So that if, for whatever reason, they have to eject on a location because of a terrorist attack, you can go play in Indianapolis. That's one of the things we learned from it. Well, one of the things I think these sports should learn from what's going on now is they need to build their bubbles so that if they ever have to go, and maybe they never use it for that, and it just becomes an incredible place to have youth tournaments.
Right.
But when you need it, it's there with hotels and dorms and food and support staff and everything you need. Now that we've experienced this, we should never be caught with our pants on our ankles again.
I think it's a good idea, but when things cost a lot of money that people think they might not use, I don't know if they, have the foresight to do it. I think.
Well, that's my point. If you host other events there, you're using it.
Yeah, you'd have to come up with a real plan for making it viable financially, and I think it sounds very plausible to me. But great ideas often go unpursued.
Well, they go unpursued because there isn't an immediate return on investment,
right?
Which is one of the major reasons why where we sit right now. We had just enough PPE materials for our doctors to get through next week, and China is making it all. And we need to be like, you know what? We got pretty lax. I got our whole financial system. No major corporation has any reserves because they can just finance anything for almost nothing because the interest rates are so low. So why ever have any cash reserves? Buy every competitor you can, get bigger, run with no reserves, and then as soon as everything gets crappy, the government will write us a check.
Well, I think that this has been shown in where we are, and it looks more and more like it's actually going to happen, maybe on time, if the players agree. The NFL shouldn't be in this position. They had the luxury of time. Other sports didn't. So just have 5 plans. But they seem to just have one plan. Hey, it's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right come the start of training camp, and full speed ahead, and that's the way our thoughts are. Well, nobody made Plan B, Plan C, Plan D, which wouldn't have been really that difficult to plan on. And other sports were doing things like a bubble, like daily testing. They had models to look at. So just have contingency plans in place. Place them quietly in front of the Players Association. Here's where we're at. Soak these in. Make some suggestions. I mean, it's months. Months.
Well, think about this as we sit here right now. The MLS has got 16 more days, and they're out of Disney.
Right.
So, I mean, a soccer field could become a football field pretty easily.
Yes, it can, and we've already seen also that leagues are willing to, they had 8 a.m. games, 8 a.m. Central, but, I mean, the Sporting's playing at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night Eastern time on Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean,
to me, I think they've got their answer, and the answer is, although Florida's not doing them any favors, how to get there. But as of right now, if the MLS keeps going as well as it's going, and the NBA is going as well as it's going, we all laughed at it and thought, how's this going to work? And I laughed off the baseball one. First, I was kind of intrigued, and I'm like, no way. No way. Well, I'm not so sure that now, the difference is the baseball bubble was the entire city of Phoenix, right? It wasn't everybody in one locale. But I think that they've got to consider, all these teams, all these sports have to consider coming up with something for it. And I really do think that you could have, maybe it's Canton, Ohio, right? It's been a long time since I've been to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but my recollection was there was quite a bit of grounds around it. It's kind of out on the side of a small town of Canton where there's actually some room. Like, could you just build a great complex, and you have football tournaments or and
well, they do that stuff now. They have 7. There's 7-on-7 is a big deal. So I mean, that's what people do all summer, and who are football players.
Yeah, it's to me, this is where their thought process needs to be. But do I think they'll do it? No, because they had 4 months to figure out what their plan was going to be to restart the NFL. Had every other league get work through their stuff, and the NFL is sitting here with the Chiefs rookies already reported, and we're getting just now that maybe they've got it figured out.
And they're canceling Zoom calls on the Friday when they were supposed to be actually doing first-year player practice, or getting out on the field anyway.
I bring it up just because I think baseball gets kind of a bad rap. They do it to themselves in the sense that they're kind of their worst PR nightmare. I don't think the baseball negotiations were ever as bad as it sounded. It's just they act like it's the first legal negotiation they've ever been through, a bunch of petulant children who just can't believe that the other side doesn't want to give them exactly what they want, and they're flabbergasted by this, and so they make it seem a lot worse than it is. But likewise, I think the NFL gets a free pass just because it's the most popular league, right? It's it's kind of like what I just experienced a little bit, politically. My team is always right no matter what. The NFL is always right. I love the NFL. So don't you dare say anything about the negative about the NFL, because I'm a bigger fan than you. And I'll prove it by saying the NFL is great. Well, the NFL crapped away 4 months.
They did.
That's just being realist.
Absolutely. They just really they messed up, period. I mean, I understand it. I don't feel like that makes it right. I understand the fact that everybody kind of thought at the outset that this wasn't going to go on very long. Well, quickly we found out that. So even if you give them the first month, okay, even if you give them into the middle of April, all right, and then say, hey, that's going to be way down the line. But by then we saw baseball had stopped and college basketball had stopped, and plans were being cooked up for other things. So there is no excuse. There's maybe a month of an excuse.
I remember having conversations from the get-go when everybody was like, and we're still, in the dark and don't really know everything, right? We're still learning every day. But I remember immediately, like the kick to my groin came in the first week or so when I'm reading they're saying 12 to 18 months. It didn't take 3 months for them to start being like, you know what, this isn't just going to go away. Right? Oh, we can bring it down if we do these things. And America quickly, about a month early said, well, we're done doing this. And no intelligent individual could think that it was going to go well. Now, I'm not saying it's been the worst ever. Anyone dying is bad. But I'm saying like it hasn't, tanked. But, so from that standpoint, I'm just talking about from an NFL standpoint, these are intelligent people that only needed to look at it and listen to what was being said. There was no way to think that we were going to be on easy street at this point. Now, in particular, when they started the reopening and this country opened way sooner than Europe. About 6 weeks ago, the panic button should have been hit. And so, but I digress. Enough about that. Let's talk baseball. It is up and running. We'll do that next with our man, Danny Clinkscale. Danny Unleashed, brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Commercial, residential, project manager on every site. Happy to do repairs. No payment is collected at Easton Roofing until you're 100% satisfied. They're even happy to finance your job as well. Call Joe and his team at 913-257-5426. See him online at eastonroofing.com.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the CEO and president of Easton Roofing. And, Joe, you had a great year in 2019, a record year. 2020 comes, things are moving smoothly along, and then the coronavirus comes. But your company seemed to be very ready, very proactive, and very ready to serve your customers well.
Yeah, we adopted social distancing very early before the cities even put out the notices. And we started working from home. We are largely cloud-based as a company, so that transition was easy. Our technicians are wearing masks and gloves, and salespeople are not meeting with homeowners. We're doing everything digitally and doing everything we can to do our part to get over this as quickly as possible.
So for any needs that people have right now, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, you can always call us, 913-257-5426. But the best way is to go to eastonroofing.com, put your information in, and we'll give you a call.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
On this date in 1983, the Pine Tar game, who was the only Royal to bat when they resumed the game on August 18th?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't either.
It seems like kind of, we know what happened. They made it out. The Royals, then the Yankees made 3 outs and they won. Correct? That's the way it went, right?
That is it. It was Hal McRae. He struck out against George Frazier, and then Quisenberry went 1-2-3 in the ninth, and the Royals won.
Did you notice that how Curtis, kind of had has Hal McRae? Like, oh,
yeah, like it wasn't an exciting answer.
Like I knew that.
You're not going to get excited about it?
Oh, you were saying that it wasn't some really super obscure player that we wouldn't have heard of. Yeah,
wouldn't some. Oh wow, really?
But today's the anniversary of that, so we're all for it.
Yes,
anniversary of that, and the Jason Varitek, Alex Rodriguez, dust up after they hit A-Rod, and A-Rod's like getting all uppity, and Jason Varitek said, "We don't hit 260 hitters." On purpose. And A-Rod said something about fornication, and then Jason Varitek did the double hand shove to the face, and so that was that. I saw that today. That today's the anniversary of that as well. Thank you, Danny Clinkscale, with us. He's brought to you by Easton Roofing. Curtis coming to you from Mr. Brews Tap House at 80th and Metcalf. Both locations. In Lawrence, as well as 80th and Metcalf, offering $8.10 for their signature burger, hand-cut fries. That is good for $8.10 all day today and all day tomorrow at both locations. So if you can hear us and you're in Lawrence and you're like, I ain't going to see Curtis, screw him, then just go to the one in Lawrence.
Tiger fan.
You're all set. Also at the Mr. Brews in downtown OP at 80th and Metcalf, we got our wonderful magazine, our Collector's Edition Champions magazine. Go check it out right now. Danny Clinkscale with us as we talk a little baseball. You like the lineup, Danny? Whit Merrifield, Adalberto Mondesi, Jorge Soler, Salvador Perez, Alex Gordon, Ryan McBroom, Michael Franco, Nicky Lopez, and Bubba Starling.
It is amazing what one bat can really do for you in a lineup, and Salvador Perez coming back certainly helps the lineup. But what it depends on, what any lineup depends on, the glaring part, I guess, that makes it not so good is Alex Gordon hitting fifth. I mean, while Alex Gordon resuscitated himself from the grave of hitting, he only elevated himself up to where the gravestone is last year. So him in the 5-hole, and then the rest are question marks. So that's what, questions need to be answered positively for the Royals to have some success offensively, and they're going to have to hit the ball some because the pitching looks a little dubious right now. McBroom looked good last year, but there was certainly was in a stacked Yankees organization, but there are question marks about him. They clearly plan on platooning him, and Shane Bieber, the last I checked, is a right-handed pitcher. Franco has had flashes. Lopez has looked overmatched, and Starling is like just casting stones in a fountain and hoping they come back gold nuggets.
I think he's more than that. I don't think that's fair. He is a top 5 draft pick, and even if he didn't go 5th, it wasn't like he was not going till the 20th round.
Well, I know, but he's had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of at-bats of lack of success. I'm not talking about his original prospect status. I mean, Maikel Franco's sort of.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, that you're basically saying he's as bad an option as you could put out there, right? And I'm saying I don't think. Listen, I'm not telling you this is, Fernando Tatis, heralded as the number 1 prospect, get ready to step on the field and make it go. I'm not telling you that, but I there is a pedigree to the guy. It was known that he was going to be a slow to the bigs guy because he wasn't a warm weather guy. I mean, and all these things are true about Mike Trout, but he wasn't a warm weather guy, and he never played baseball exclusively. So there is reason to believe that there is still I think there's still some ceiling there. You think there's no ceiling? You think he can't possibly carve out a job that and deserve it, not just be like, we're going to give him every chance possible. You don't see that still?
Well, let me put it this way. If he was anything but top 5 pick Bubba Starling, he wouldn't even be in the organization right now.
He'd be in this organization.
I don't think so. They already basically cut him loose once.
Are you kidding me? Terrence Gore was like 30 and still in this organization because he had tools. This kid has tools. They love tools. So would he be in the A's? No. Would he be in the Red Sox? No. Would he be in the Cubs? No. Any massively analytic-driven team, Astros? No. But teams that still value the tools, and listen, and if you're like, well, name a success story. Well, they valued Jorge Soler. And the tools finally clicked, and he hit 48 home runs. I'm not saying Bubba Starling's going to hit 48 home runs, but he can play you a quality center field, and that has value. And if there is a chance that the hit tool will come along, because he's had all of 2,600 at bats in his professional career.
Right.
So that's 4 years of big league at bats.
I'm just saying I give it a 10% chance of him being a player who can be a regular starter for you, and 20% that he can be on the team and provide some kind of service.
I will give it. He had a big spring, and I want to make sure I'm not getting too excited over that.
But didn't he have a big spring last spring too? I believe he did.
I don't know.
I think he did.
If Curtis were doing anything at Mr. Brews, he would look that up, but he's looking for.
I'm trying.
Objects he's lost.
Here, how about this one? In 2,484 minor league at bats, he was intentionally walked 5 times.
He likes to swing the bat.
But I mean, intentionally walked. It was like.
Listen, I'm not. The numbers I'm going to give you is I'm going to bump it up to. I think he's got 40% chance to be a backup outfielder, and he has got. I would bump it to 20% chance that he could be an everyday defense first player, outfielder.
Defense first outfielders are few and far between. That's for sure.
I know.
Now,
and that's part of the reason why I'm saying 20%. I'm not saying 40,
right. And so
60.
we're not miles apart. 10% and 20%. I've always said that. People have heard me say this a million times. Once it's sort of you saw sort of the development or lack thereof I always have thought that the upside for him was Brian Anderson, the old Chicago White Sox center fielder, who was a high draft choice, excellent fielder, just never could hit.
For me, I'm curious as to who he's working with for his swing. And when you see guys like J.D. Martinez, Jason Donald, who else? Who are some of the rebuilt swing guys?
You mean Jamie Donaldson?
Yes, I'm sorry, Donaldson. I like to keep him out of my mind because I've spent so much money on him in fantasy baseball, and so I get every hurt season on the guy that I don't. Nothing against him personally, but I don't like the career at all because it always screws me. But yeah, Turner, the third baseman with the Dodgers, and there are a handful of guys that have gone to the lift swing. And when you introduce power, people pitch carefully to you, and you can draw some walks, and you can improve what you are. He's 6'4". He's a tremendous athlete. Get that going towards a lift swing and see where it takes you.
You still have to make contact.
I know. You're right.
We're not that far apart. It's worth a try. I mean, this is still a team that's developing. So, if they're developing,
this is the team to keep trying with.
Yes,
right. The Astros have no time to waste.
They need, the Royals need surprise success stories. They do. I mean, and this would fit into that category. And they need some regular old success stories too, like Bobby Witt Jr. That's supposed to work. But I guess that this lineup looks like it could be what we've seen a lot from Royals lineups recently, which is just the threats end after 5 batters, and then it's just a black hole the rest of the way.
I agree, and I don't know that he's going to have the kind of power that he's shown in the spring. I know he's not, but I am still optimistic that there is survival skills at the plate, and he's enough of an athlete that just surviving at the plate can result in 15 home runs and 30 doubles, and if he can become one of the best defensive center fielders, and I think there's a spot for him on a roster. That's all.
Bubba's 2019 spring numbers?
Oh, they're big.
344,
19.
432.
20 were big. What was 19?
344, 432, 625, 1057. 2 homers, 6 RBIs, and 32 at-bats with 3 doubles.
Well, he's way better this year, so it's,
But still, it was good last year, and it didn't really translate to anything. So,
no, I agree.
But, hey, the Royals, what the Royals need is to make statements like I am making about Bubba Starling lies, or, make me look bad. And if those kind of things happen, then they can have some success.
No, I totally agree. I think that's listen. I don't think he's the key to the rebuild process anymore. But as long as you're rebuilding, you've got room to keep trying with him. Do you like the construction of the lineup? It's our first look at what Matheny's going to do. He's kept Brady Singer on the roster. Well, he's not, but he's going to be on and start tomorrow. That's the first thing we saw him do. And that may be general manager directed, but he was at least party to it. So we see that. He's not afraid to go to the – I almost don't even think that's it. I think they almost have no one else to turn to because they're – as much as they've got great young pitching in the pipeline, almost none of it's ready. And so they really are very thin at starting pitching, and losing Keller and Junis exposes that part of the equation. But the lineup that he's put together,
I think with what the 9 players that he has got at his disposal or has decided to have at his disposal, I don't know if you can really quibble with what's there right now. I'd probably drop Gordon down and hope that Franco is more like a 5-hitter than Gordon. Merrifield, I'd probably want to have down in the lineup a little bit because he just gets hits. He doesn't walk.
How much better does it look if Dozier's in the lineup?
Oh, a lot better. That was a big blow, no question. I mean, it really looks great because then Dozier's almost assuredly hitting 5th, or you could do something different with him. Probably Mondesi. I will say one thing. Probably Mondesi is in a combination of a traditional and non-traditional second hitter. They're not putting their best hitter. Merrifield would probably be better suited to hit second. I'll say that.
Danny Clinkscale brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. There's a storm I thought was due in this afternoon. If your roof is older and you're wondering about your roof, call Easton Roofing. They'll be happy to inspect it for free, give you a free estimate as where. Financing available. They also accept credit cards. No payment collected until you're 100% satisfied. 4 straight years voted Best of Houses winner, Angie's List Super Service Award winner. That's Easton Roofing. Call 913-257-5426. Find them online at eastonroofing.com.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the CEO and president of Easton Roofing. What's the difference at this time of year as we head toward the warmer months for homeowners, and what should they be looking at, coronavirus or not?
If you didn't do a good job of home maintenance in the fall, cleaning your gutters out, when we get the spring rains, that can be a real problem. So you want to make sure that you've done a good job on your home maintenance, cleaning your gutters out. We can help with that. I always tell people they never get their roof inspected. They get their furnace inspected once a year, but they never get their roof inspected. And we do the inspection on your roof for free. So you call, you make an appointment, and we'll show up, do the inspection. It's free. You should have your roof looked at once a year. Take advantage of us. And most likely you're fine. And if there's a problem, hopefully we can get out in front of it and save you money in the end.
So for any needs that people have right now, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, you can always call us, 913-257-5426. But the best way is to go to eastonroofing.com, put your information in, and we'll give you a call.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
Both Mr. Brews Tap House locations, 3140 Iowa Street in Lawrence and 80th and Metcalf in Old OP, have a great special going on, $8.10 for the signature burger and hand-cut fries. Tons of TVs, over 30 beers on tap. It is a great place to watch your Royals baseball as they get the season going tonight, supporting Kansas City. The soccer, the baseball, very soon the NBA are going to be up and running. Go see them at Mr. Brews Tap House. Danny Clinkscale brought to you by Easton Roofing. Find them online at eastonroofing.com. So, Danny, what are the biggest stories for you for the Royals this year that you're going to be looking for?
Oh, I think it's got to be the young pitchers, and if they, obviously Brady Singer is going to get a chance to, be a starter right away, and they need a couple stars there. I mean, it's the way they're going to have to go about building the team. And like I said, the rest of it are going to have to be, to me, what qualifies as pleasant surprises. I don't think you've got an expectation that, Maikel Franco is going to suddenly, reemerge as a great player. And maybe the other one that's in a little different direction is how Jorge Soler follows up on his big season of last year. That was a huge step forward for him. And was it a little bit of a fluke, or does he become just a regular old power hitter, or is he going to be a dominant power hitter? Because the Royals kind of need him to be what he was last year, because they're not going to be loaded up with great hitting.
If he can be a 40 home run guy, like when he plays full seasons, be 40 home runs, and that makes it a lot easier for all the other players to grow up around him. That provides such protection for other players. And, I think Franco, Bubba Starling, Franchi Cordero, all these 20-something guys that have been thought of as very good prospects, the Royals need to turn one of them back into a really good player. Right, I think that's one of the things.
Yeah, and homegrown, the same thing with Adalberto Mondesi.
Yeah, and I think that, to me, it's, they have to be right on that because they've had ample opportunities to shop him. They no doubt were offered things, for him, and they've clearly always felt that he's going to be better. Dayton Moore in the last Zoom that he had this year, well before they did the Franchi Cordero trade, they said, "Hey, this is going to be the last one before the season." He said Mondesi's going to be a star. He needs to be right on that because, you could have gotten a lot for him when he was showing flashes. You're in the get it right business. And one thing the Royals don't ever do is they never trade any of the guys that they've really invested in. And that to me is more about blind loyalty than it is great scouting. Great scouting would be like, we know this guy looks good, but he's really not that good. And they've never made that move. Not with Hosmer, not with Moose, not with any of those guys, And so that, to me, is one of the things they need to do.
I agree because, they need to find ways to stockpile a little more talent and not have to hope that each individual person we're talking about lives up to what they were, because that's not going to happen that often at a high percentage.
Danny Clinkscale, you can read his work at DannyClinkscale.com. He's brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Danny, stay safe. We'll talk to you next Friday.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.